Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Michael Elmer. As Deeper States Mind and Wellness. I, I just want to talk about something was kind of perturbing me the other day, and it kind of just stuck in my head. So I had a client. I have a client that I'm working with live in one of my other offices that I'm using. I'm renting space for what they call a day office. And the reason that we did that was because I felt it was very important for me to connect with this woman and to be able to really go in and create what we call anchors, where I have to touch them and cause a new stimulation for the anchor to trigger in the brain. So I was doing that. And the interesting thing was that afterwards, I used to have offices here in this building. Afterwards, I came out and a therapist that's there, a hypnotist that's there, said, how you been doing? You look good. You look great, blah, 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 and proceeded to tell me that he had been doing single sessions with everybody now. Since COVID, he no longer sees multiple people multiple times. It's only a single session. And I wanted to kind of talk about that topic today and kind of dive in a little deeper in that topic. Um, I know that there are hypnotists out there. There are people out there who do single sessions. But my concern with that is that after the way he said it, how he talked to me was just very interesting. Dominance is great. It's important to be confident, right? You have to be confident when you're doing therapy with anybody. Otherwise, you become very sympathetic with them to the point where you can't assist them or you can't help them. So it's important to be able to be confident, but also to be balanced and know and listen to what the client or patient is telling you. Um, so I'm in the kitchen. I had a cup of coffee, and this therapist comes in and tells me, hey, I've been doing such effing miracles with hypnosis. And, matter of fact, I had a person came to me who was stuttering, and he was stuttering really bad. And I did one friggin' session with him. And then he got better, and, he's never stuttered since. That was 10 years ago. It's like, okay, out of nowhere. And then the next one was, oh my gosh, I had a cancer patient that came to me, and I did one session with her, and the rash that she had friggin' went away. It friggin' went away. And I don't know, maybe I'm not at that level. I don't know. I've done this for 25 years, so I don't know. I just felt very odd with that. It's kind of like a psychiatrist coming in to meet with you for one session, evaluating you, and then medicating you. I don't understand where the ethics starts or stops with a situation like that. I mean, I'll go deeper into what I feel and what I think is proper, but I want to talk a little bit just about what happens with people, and what hypnosis is first of all. It's a treatment that's an option that may help you cope or treat different conditions. I mean, it is an option that's available to everybody. All right. To do this, you want to hire a certified hypnotist or hypnotherapist to guide you into a deep state of relaxation. Sometimes it's described as a trance state. And the interesting thing is, if I forgot to tell you guys, if you guys want a message, if you guys want to leave comments and stuff, I have it scrolling on the bottom. But to show the comments, do me a favor, go over to streamyard.com/Facebook, and then it'll acknowledge that you're in the room, and it'll let you participate. All right. So let me get in here so I can see you guys' comments for some of you who are joining me. Perfect. If you guys want to comment, you're more than welcome to. I will address any questions you guys have. But hypnosis is a process where the hypnotist or the hypnotherapist, and I'll tell you a little bit what the difference is between hypnosis and hypnotherapy. But the hypnotist will guide the client into a deep state of relaxation. Um, and the process of doing that, the process of doing that is separate the conscious and the unconscious, and remove what we call the critical factor filter. Factor filter is something that actually conditions us based on our moral belief system or our accuracy of a system that believes what's true to us, right? So, for instance, if you're touching the brain, if you get that removed and you're getting in and you're touching the brain at the unconscious level, you're giving it positive effects or positive thoughts, it's going to hear those because our unconscious mind never sleeps. It's always awake. You got to think about it this way. So, your unconscious mind's always awake because at night you don't die, right? You're not going into hibernation. At night, your body's slowing down, everything's just kind of relaxing. And as it relaxes, you're going into this deep meditative state. We go into what we call homeostasis. The outside of the body tries to meet the inside of the body. Inside the body tries to meet the outside of the body. So it tries to find this symbiotic balance. So what happens is the inside and the outside starts to heal. That's why, sometimes you get a cut in your mouth. And then by morning, it's already starting to clear up some. The reason is, or sometimes it's completely gone, right? Or you eat pizza. That's the biggest one. You eat pizza and, burns the roof of your mouth. And then it leaves you that blister. Well, in the morning, by morning time overnight, it's almost kind of healing and gone. And the interesting part of that is because you're going to the homeostasis state. So the hypnotist is going to get you in that area and he's going to work on opening to create therapeutic change and improvement. Trance-like experiences are all that are uncommon. If you ever zoned out, I guess, like, so let's say you're driving along, right, and you kind of zone out. You don't remember that you were at point A, point B, but you just zone out, and you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm already here. Well, that's trance state. So we're in trance state all the time. It's not a phenomenon that happens. It's something that happens all the time. Why? Now the results can be a phenomenon because sometimes we don't know why results happen. All right. um, So I want to give you the definition of what hypnosis and hypnotherapy are, because a lot of people ask that. A lot of people do not know the difference to that. So, and I've heard practitioners, I've heard people that I respect and look up to tell me that it's the same, and it's not the same. I mean, it's kind of yes and no, I guess. Hypnosis is a tool that can be used for therapeutic treatment. Hypnotherapy is the use of the tool, right? So using the tool is hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapeutic treatments are being done by hypnosis. So to put it in another way, I guess, try to help you guys understand that a little bit better, is hypnosis is to hypnotherapy what dogs are to animal therapy, right? So it's conjunction with, but it's not the same thing. It kind of is, but it really isn't, because one is the action of doing it, the other one is the process of using it. It's the tool, right? So, you know, let's talk about other therapists that are out there. I mean, and I hope there are some marriage and family therapists that watch this, and some MFTs and psychotherapists that watch this, and give me some input on this. You guys have a foundation, you have an organization, which is huge, and you guys are able to intermix with each other, ask questions of each other. You have colleagues that, you're exchanging information. I've always had that because I studied in a different way. I mean, I studied through different schools. I kept in touch with people, educators that I became friends with. I became members of two of the boards, the American Board of Hypnotherapy, International Hypnosis Federation Board. I've stayed active in everything that I participated in. And the purpose of that was because I wanted to make sure that I always had these resources. I always had these understandings of what new therapy was coming along, what it was that I needed to do. And it was really important for me to be versed in what I do. And it still is. I don't think education should ever stop. If it stops, then you become complacent. And I'll tell you, there's some hypnotists that I have seen that do the same induction every time, every single time. And it's okay. If it's working for you, great. Work it, baby. Make it happen, because we're here to make change for people, right? We're here to help people make change, and that's what we're here for. So I don't really care how you get to that point. What I have a little issue with is the one single sessions, because marriage and family therapists and psychiatrists don't do a single session. They do an evaluation first, understand the root of the situation, understand where the situation is coming from. When did it start? Is it something that started from childhood all the way until today? Or is it something that started in that moment of time that you ran into that car and you totaled your car, and that panic sensation started, has driven with you since May of 2020, no, 2021, right? So we need to know the history of the client. I don't believe, and this therapist said he did do an hour and a half session, so I'll give him that 30 minutes extra. But I mean, I just don't know how you can come up and find out somebody's history like that and then come in and change that. If there's a psychotherapist or an MFT available that can give me input on this, please DM me, or even leave it in the comments. It's fine. Let's make it an open discussion, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I should be doing one session programs only and never contacting the client again. Because I asked him, I said, so what is your outcome? How do you know if you've had success? Oh, well, hell, if they're going to call me back, then I know that it did work for them. But if I don't hear from them, then I suggest to myself that I've done what had to be done, and they've gotten what they needed from me. I find that so unethical. How can you do something like that? How can you go into somebody's mind, right? We're going to go in their mind in one session. We're going to evaluate them. We're going to find out where the history is. We're going to find out when this started. Why did it happen? What's going on with it? Then we're going to do an evaluation to try to find out, how do we separate that? How do we switch? How do we cause a switch, right? How do we find what is our leverage point in order to get this person to change? So I'm going to tell you a little story about a client I have right now who was going through really massive depression. I mean, massive, massive depression, and to a point where she just, her mouth would open, her eyes would close, and she just couldn't breathe. And she was just massive panic attacks. And the interesting thing is that there's some OCD happening in here, and there's also some. The OCD was interesting because I guess a doctor or a nurse, a registered nurse, told her one day, said, "Oh, there's always phlegm in our body, and you're just feeling a little bit of phlegm in your throat." Well, that created this induction process in her head, right? Hypnotized her, that every time now she feels this little feeling, she has to clear it out. And I went to the core root of that, and the core root of it was childhood. So we had to deal with that. And that's not going to, there's no way in hell that's going to be a 1 session program for me. It's just not going to happen like that for me. I cannot do a 1 session like that and clear out all the trauma that this person had. So, if a marriage and family therapist or psychiatrist out there can help me understand this and what your belief system is on this, because I'll tell you, I don't know, man. I have ethics, and my ethics tell me that I should not be doing a single session. Now, if you're coming into me and just saying, "Oh my God, I just need to reduce my stress," it's been a really difficult week, and there's a lot going on. Can you please reduce my stress? Absolutely, but I don't think you're going to want to pay my prices to do a 1 session for just stress reduction. And also, you're not conditioned to me. So that first session, really, how, like going to a psychiatrist for the first time. You go to a psychiatrist and he starts talking to you, or she starts talking to you, and then she's going to prescribe you 5 different drugs in that 15 minutes or 30 minutes that she saw you. That's concerning to me. It's really, really concerning to me. That's not, I don't think that's how therapy should be done. I mean, I'm more of the belief system that we find the core root, we work through it, we desensitize you to it, then we start getting you to want to live the way you want to live based on the leverage that we create on the facts of what had happened to you. All right. What type of conditioning do you think that you have experienced? Let's talk about that. So right now, what kind of conditioning is going on in the world? Let's see. Politics are crazy conditioning right now. We're having problems with fuel right now. There's a gas crisis happening right now. And cars are very expensive because, of course, we were on lockdown. So there's no chips available. So we're in the understanding that things are expensive, but we're also convinced that some are convinced that things are getting better. Some are convinced that things are going well. Some are convinced that, it's all going to hell in a handbasket. But I think that we have a lot of influence around us constantly, 24/7. The influence is there. Our job is to, again, like therapy, right? To look at it, evaluate it, analyze it, and accept it, deny it, or change it. And that's what change is all about. And in order for us to reach those decisions in our life, we have to be able to connect to those. And I think a lot of times what happens is, if you're giving a session that's that quick, or even if it's a 5 session program, if this person's been having depression, anxiety their entire life, and it's rooted deep inside of who they are, or let's say it's even just an idea of an exam preparation. How do you know in 1 session whether you made that exam preparation work or not? You know what I mean? We're conditioned every day. We're conditioned for foods. We're conditioned by television. We're conditioned, commercials are hypnosis. They hypnotize you like crazy. Your values and belief systems have to be set into that place so it values and belief systems correlate or correspond to what you're watching. But we are influenced all the time, all right? And it starts in grade school. The idea is it's programming, and everything is programming. Tying your shoe. I like to say, and hypnotherapists therapists, period, don't like this. I like to say, we are manipulating the unconscious mind to make different choices that are beneficial to the client. And they'll say, well, I hate the word manipulation. I had a person who I absolutely love and adore, who's big in our business, that said, manipulation is horrible. Don't use that in front of a client. I said, well, we manipulate our shoelaces in order to get our shoes tied. That's giving us a positive outcome. It's giving you the outcome you need, right? So manipulation happens all the time. As long as manipulation is beneficial to the client and the client's getting success through it, I think manipulation is very, very important to have, right? And I don't know that there's a psychotherapist or anybody out there who does a single sessions in that profession that's actually governed by the states that they work in. Hypnosis is a self-regulated platform, and I think there's a lot of awesome, excellent hypnotists out there. But you, as a participant, you as a client, you as a patient, need to do your due diligence in order to know who you're working with. Okay, I mean, and I'm not everything to everybody, and I'll tell you, there's times that I have clients that they want to work with me, and we start talking, and we find out we're just not a good fit, or I just find out they're not a good fit, or they'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm looking for somebody who's more in the spiritual realm, and I do some of that. I'm not embedded in spiritualism. I am embedded in what's going to help you change and reach that goal and reach that level of success. Um, how many times can we think of something in your life? Think this for yourself. Think this in your mind. How many times in your life did you ever change and make a decision based in 1 hour? How many times did you take something that was happening to you, thought about it, and in that hour you changed it and never ever did it again, or you never ever allowed it to influence your life again? I think sometimes we do. They're called knee jerk reactions, right? Or they're called impulse buys, or they're called impulse decisions. And I don't know that that's really beneficial to us. Maybe it's a luck of the draw, right? Maybe it's a roll of the dice. You roll the dice and you have good luck with that. I think when it comes to therapeutic processes, it's very, very important for us to follow some kind of protocol where we understand that client 100%. We understand that client inside and out. We understand that client's background. I had a client come to me a long, long time ago. This is probably 10 years ago. She was sent by a endocrinologist because she had very horrible, horrible diabetes. And they were trying to get her on a pump. And the interesting thing was that she was just rebelling all the way around. And I asked her, where did she was obese, big time obese. And I said, where does this come from? What has happened to you that got you in this place? What do you think? Oh, I don't know. I said, well, let's talk about childhood. How was your childhood? Oh, it was great. I had a great childhood. I never had a lot of problems. It was, I guess families always have their problems. And it's interesting because when she said that, I was like, I want to know more about that. Why do families always have the problems? What were your family problems? So in the middle of my session, I came back around, middle of my intake, came back around, and I said, help me understand that a little bit more. Clarify that for me. What do you mean by your family was a typical family? Everybody has their problems. She says, well, it was just typical. My dad was an alcoholic. He shot my mother in the leg with a 22. But it was okay. We all got over it. My mother got over it. We did okay. We got through that. You get through the difficult times. That is a big red flag for me. That's so obviously tells me there was a lot more childhood that wasn't normal for this client. I just need to know it. I need to go in there and experience it and find it. And if I'll tell you, if the client's not ready to deal with that, so psychiatrists, MFTs, and other hypnotherapists who will agree with me, if your client isn't prepared to deal with things like that, they're going to stay stuck forever. They're not going to move through that. You're not going to be able to get them to accept that emotion or that sensation because it's so everywhere for them. They're emotionally driven. They've gotten to a point where now there's no real conscious decisions happening. It's all irrational decisions happening because based on those emotions and those feelings, which is all core rooted to childhood, or for that woman, all core rooted to childhood. Doesn't have to be. There's times where, like I said, the car accident issue, right? Somebody gets in a horrible car accident. It could be that moment that strikes in the unconscious mind. It just keeps playing over and over again, or becomes this constant nagging or this decision process. So I don't know that we can be influenced in 1 hour. I think we can. But I also think it depends on what the influence is, right? As a therapist, I don't think we should be trying to influence a client to make change in 1 hour. And that's my opinion, and I'll stick to that. I see it. I have a 10-session program, a 20-session program. If they want to work with me with those, great. If they don't, hey, there's a lot of people out there that do therapy. Find somebody who works for you. Find somebody who loves you, who will work with you unconditionally. Because I'll tell you, and this is why when I teach my hypnotists how to do hypnotherapy, I tell them, look, if you right away have negative feelings towards that client, or you just don't like that client, if you can't help them, refer them out. Do not take a client that you don't want to work with, because it can be grueling for both of you. A long, boring, grueling process. Hypnosis is awesome. Makes huge changes in people's lives. Made huge changes in my life. But do your due diligence. Do your research. Find the right therapist for you. I think that sessions can work with stress reduction. Sessions can work with people that are just trying to get a little bit more clarity in their mind, or just kind of wanting to feel good? Or can you do a pain reduction? Can you do a rapid induction for pain? Absolutely. Is it permanent? I don't think so. But if you teach that client with multiple sessions how to remove the pain, how to manage the pain, how to do self-hypnosis to get themselves into that level to reduce the pain. Now you've given them, it's kind of like that old saying, right? You know, you give a fisher, you buy a fisherman, you give a fisherman fish, you fed him once. You buy a fisherman a pole, you fed him many, many times. So giving a client self-hypnosis is crucial, because then they can walk away from you. And that's the last thing I want, is a client coming to me for the next 20 years. And psychology is very different, because usually they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know where this is stemming from. They don't understand why this issue is coming into their lives. Now, if they know, and they tell me that car accident happened, and ever since then this has been happening, then we know the core of the issue, right? That makes it fairly simple. But a lot of times they just don't know. And in order for them to find that, they have to go internal. They have to really work through that. So I would say that I'm going up, and I'm going to probably go into a half hour on this show, and that's okay. I'm not going to keep these. I'm going to try to keep these down to 30 minutes. I see people are coming in on YouTube, you guys. I don't know what's going on. I think the platform I'm using has blocked out YouTube messages for some weird reason. I'll figure that out hopefully by next Friday. But my conclusion to this is you're the client. You are the patient, right? So do your due diligence. And I don't care if you're walking into a doctor's office, a hypnotist's office, or you're going in to see a new doctor for the first time. Do your due diligence. Where are you from? I mean, we do this when we look for a doctor, right? I mean, I belong to Kaiser, and they must have thousands and thousands upon thousands of doctors here in the Los Angeles area. The thing is that I do a lot of due diligence. I want to know where they're from, what's their education, how do they work, right? What are they medication driven? Is it an endocrinologist that's going to medicate me to death? Is it a heart doctor that's going to medicate me to death? Or we can do things initially to work on reducing weight, reducing heart palpitations, calming the body, calming the mind, getting the stress levels down, everything that needs to be done with that issue that's happening. I want to know how this doctor or how this person is going to get me from point A to point B. So in my conclusion of this, I would say, do your due diligence. You are responsible for yourself. And if any of you want to book a strategy call with me, you're more than welcome to. I will give you, let me see if I can create a link real quick for you guys. I'll set up a link for you guys, and I'll tell you that my strategy calls are not free. I just don't, I think that, and the reason is because people that show up for a strategy call are vested. They have come in and vested themselves into what I'm doing, and they're vested in their own work, right? They're vested in healing and hopefully putting some time into what they're doing. Let me see if I can get you guys a link real quick here. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, I'm going to post a link, which is for a 30-minute strategy call in the comments. You guys are welcome to do that. And I'll tell you that my strategy calls are $85. I'll be very transparent with that. My calls are $85. When you book the call with me, we spend 15 minutes with each other. I want to know, that's my strategy, whether I can work with you or not. It's a strategy call for me to understand you and for you to understand me, for you to understand how I work and what I'm doing to you and what hypnosis is and what NLP is. I think NLP and hypnotherapy can change the world. The thing is that you have to kind of know what you're doing with it and what its limitations are and what its limitations are not. Because there are limitations. I mean, you can't cure cancer with it, but can you stimulate the nervous system and stimulate the immunity to start producing more immunity, to feel better, to heal faster? Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I do see that I did send this out so you can see it on all our pages. You can see on the Deeper States Mind and Wellness page, the Diabetes Freedom page, and the Deeper States Mind and Wellness YouTube page. I believe that's what that is. Yes. So just go ahead, click on the link, book the $85 consultation. You give you that money back once, when you choose a program with us and we know that we can work with each other, we put that back into your package. So Anyway, I appreciate everything, you guys. It's been great. I value you guys, even you, the ones who are watching these replays. It's important. This is important information. And if you think it's helpful to you and it's helpful to others, spread the word. Let's get this built. Let's get people coming in. I'll be here every Friday. I'm going to try to pick different topics. This topic just happened because I was kind of appalled by the conversation. I guess not appalled. I was taken back by the conversation. And I felt like it needed more of an explanation to understand it a little bit better. And for you, as clients, as patients, as seeking help by a hypnotist, need to understand that you have to do your due diligence, right? There's millions of us across the world, and you need to find the one that you resonate with. All right, guys, thank you so much. Let me get into my branding. I'm going to let you guys go. I want to thank you guys so very, very much for everything, and I wish you the best. Hey, man, have a great weekend. Go out there, make it special for somebody else other than yourself, but treat yourself well and enjoy your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
I think these videos are brilliant, and I'm sure you will like them too. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell.